They say love is blind, but maybe that's not the full truth. Maybe love doesn't close its eyes, it just learns to see differently. It stops focusing on what's obvious and starts noticing what most people miss. Here's a question for you. If a woman truly loves you, how would you even know? I'm not talking about the sweet stuff that's easy to fake. I'm not talking about cuddling during Netflix marathons, handwritten birthday cards, or those cozy moments you could honestly recreate with a weighted blanket and a subscription to Hallmark. I'm talking about something deeper, a love that quietly shifts the gravity in her world, a love that repositions everything inside her, often without her consent, sometimes without her even realizing it's happening. Most people won't tell you this, but when a woman really truly loves you, it's not something she just announces. It spills out in strange little ways. It leaks in the way she pauses mid-sentence, the way she hides certain feelings, the way her eyes land on you when she thinks you're not paying attention. You don't spot real love in the obvious gestures. It lives in the spaces between them. It shows up in the glitches, the slips, the raw, unguarded seconds when she forgets she's supposed to be holding it all together. There's a study from the University of California back in 2018. It found that people in love unconsciously sync their brainwaves during conversation. That's not just poetic metaphor, that's raw neuroscience. Her nervous system is literally reconfiguring when you're near. Your voice, your presence, the way you look at her, it rewires her. And yet, here you are, scrolling Reddit at 2 a.m., falling into that same doubt spiral, wondering if she actually loves you or if she's just scared of being alone again. That question haunts more men than you think. But we're not doing surface-level advice here. No fairy tales, no cheap lines, no soft answers. We're going deeper, 7 signs, real ones, that a woman isn't just drawn to you, not just into your energy, but soul deep connected. If you're the kind of man who's tired of games, tired of theories, and hungry to understand women and yourself on a level that might actually make you uncomfortable, then stay with me. This message isn't for everyone. I just released a private, members-only video I couldn't share publicly. It's raw, unfiltered, and far too honest for the algorithm. This is the kind of truth that gets demonetized, or worse, misunderstood. But if you feel something stirring already, chances are you're meant to be in that room. You'll find the link in the description or the pinned comment. Now let's get into the first sign. The first real sign that she loves you is this. She fights you like she's trying to save her own life. Wait, what? That doesn't sound like love, right? But hear me out. When a woman loves you deeply, truly, and vulnerably, she doesn't just argue with you to win. She fights with you because the stakes feel that high. This isn't about who left the dishes in the sink or what show to watch. These are the kinds of fights that feel like emotional surgery, like you're trying to open each other up with bare hands and broken tools. You want peace? Then find someone who doesn't care if you walk away. But if what you want is love, real, terrifying, soul-rearranging love, then you better be ready for the storm that comes with it. Picture this. He's sitting on the edge of the bed. She's standing near the door, tears on the edge of her voice, saying things like, "You don't get it. You never get it." And in his head, he's spinning, thinking, "But we were fine yesterday." Where is this coming from? It's coming from fear. Real love is dangerous because it strips people down to the parts they usually keep hidden. It makes her vulnerable in a way that terrifies her. When she falls for you, not just the charming version of you, but the flawed, messy human version, it shakes something loose inside her. You need to understand this. When a woman loves you, she's giving you emotional access that no one else has. And she's handing you keys to doors inside her that have stayed locked for years. And if she senses for even 1 second that you might fumble that trust, her instincts will go into overdrive. This isn't drama, this is defense. She's not trying to tear you down. She's protecting the parts of herself that only exist when You're around. That version of her, the one who is softer, more open, more real, it only shows up for you. And that makes you dangerous to her, even if you don't mean to be. It's messy. It's emotional. It might not make logical sense, but it is real. Søren Kierkegaard, a philosopher who probably thought about love more than is healthy, once said, "The greatest hazard of all losing oneself can occur very quietly in the world, as if it were nothing at all." Read that again, slowly. She's not fighting you because she's mad. She's fighting because somewhere deep down, she's terrified of losing herself in you. And if you can see that, really see it, then maybe you'll stop treating her panic like a personal attack. Maybe you'll realize that her chaos is actually a sign of how deeply she's in it. That's the paradox nobody warns you about. The woman who genuinely, deeply loves you can sometimes feel like the hardest person to be with. Not because she wants to be difficult, but because loving you means handing over pieces of herself that she's spent an entire lifetime protecting. She didn't build those walls out of nowhere. She built them to survive. So every sharp word, every overreaction, every confusing argument that seems way bigger than the moment itself that's not drama, that's her subconscious screaming, "Please don't make me regret loving you." She's not pushing you away because she wants distance. She's bracing for impact, just in case you leave like the others. And now we come to the second sign. She shows you her ugly. And she does it without a speech or a warning or a romantic filter. There's a moment in every real relationship that no one ever posts about. It's not the first kiss or the first night you sleep in the same bed. It's the moment she lets you see the parts of herself she's never shown anyone. Not the cute, messy hair or no makeup selfies. Not the little quirks she uses to be endearing. No, this is about the raw underbelly of her being, the chaos, the damage, the secrets she swore she'd never tell. When a woman truly loves you, something shifts. Her armor starts to fall, not because you asked for it to, but because somewhere in her soul, something ancient and quiet whispered, "He can handle this. You can let him in." And you need to know this isn't just vulnerability. This is sacred ground. When she tells you about her father walking out, or about the friend who betrayed her, or about the morning she stared into the mirror and didn't recognize herself, don't flinch. That's not weakness you're seeing. That's her removing the war paint. That's her handing you her emotional battle map and praying you won't use it against her later. And this won't happen with a neon sign or dramatic music. It might come while she's chopping vegetables in the kitchen. It might come when her head is resting on your chest and she whispers something she's never even said out loud. Or it might hit mid-laugh, when a memory hijacks her joy and leaves her breathless. And in that moment, what she's terrified of is this, that you'll go quiet, that your energy will shift, that you'll see her differently now that the mask is gone. And if you do, if you freeze, pull back, retreat into silence, she'll remember that forever. But here's the twist. She wants you to stay. She's hoping you're the kind of man who can hold the weight of her honesty without turning it into a reason to run. Love, real love, isn't just about attraction. It's about exposure. We're all mosaics, fragments of beauty and pain, stitched together by stories we don't always know how to tell. When a woman loves you, she eventually stops curating her story. She stops showing you the highlight reel and instead begins revealing the cutting room floor. And that is terrifying for her. Because the most dangerous sentence you can say in any relationship is, "This is who I really am." And the most sacred response anyone can give is to stay still, to not flinch, to say, "Okay, I see you." So if you've never seen her crack open like that, ask yourself a harder question. Have you ever made her feel safe enough to? Have you ever shown her that her flaws, her spirals, her self-doubt aren't liabilities to love, but the very reason you're here? Because when a woman loves you for real, she doesn't need to be adored. She needs to be accepted, not the version of her that fits the feed or the fantasy, but the one who sometimes shuts down, the one who needs help finding her way back. You'll know she's in love when she shows you the version of herself she never posts about and silently hopes you won't run. Sign number 3 is subtle, but it runs deeper than most people realize. She remembers the details you forgot you ever said. There are people who listen just enough to reply. There are people who listen so they can judge. But when a woman loves you, she listens to remember not just the words, but the meaning behind them. And I'm not talking about the obvious stuff. Not your birthday or your favorite pizza toppings. I'm talking about that one story you told her in passing months ago. The one even you don't remember telling. Maybe it was about how your dad used to drive with the windows down, playing Springsteen on Sunday mornings, and how you always felt safe in those moments without knowing why. And then one random afternoon, you slide into her car and Springsteen is playing. The windows are down. No announcement, no big gesture, just a quiet echo of a memory you forgot you shared. That's love. Not in the big declarations, but in the intentional silences. She doesn't need to say, "Look what I did." She's already said it with the action. She's loving you in the quietest, most careful way. That kind of memory, that kind of attention, it means her heart is actively holding space for your life. She's not just hearing you, she's absorbing you. She's storing the pieces of you that matter, not because she's trying to impress you, but because they're becoming part of how she loves. This isn't strategy. It's not about being the perfect partner. It's soul-deep intimacy. It's how women love when they feel emotionally safe and fully seen. And if you're lucky enough to be loved like that, don't take it lightly, because that kind of remembering, that kind of presence, it only happens when she's truly, profoundly in it. When a woman is in love, she doesn't collect facts about you like stats on a dating profile. She collects moments, glimpses, pieces of your soul that most people overlook. She notices the way your voice shifts after a call from work. She remembers the name of your childhood dog, the one you mentioned offhand once and never brought up again. She doesn't just know how you take your coffee. She knows why, because you told her your grandfather made it that way, and it became a ritual that stuck, a connection to something bigger than the taste. That's the thing. Love isn't loud. It's not built on grand gestures or viral surprises. Real love lives in the micro memories, the unnoticed details that say, "I see you." In a world where people forget what they had for breakfast or who they were texting 5 minutes ago, someone choosing to remember you, that's radical. And here's where it becomes more than romantic. It becomes philosophical. True love is attention, and attention is presence. In a distracted world, presence is the rarest gift. So when she remembers your stories, your fears, the random little things you thought no one was paying attention to, that's not coincidence. That's reverence. That's her telling you, "You matter to me at a molecular level." She's not just hearing your words, she's witnessing your life, and that kind of witnessing, that takes energy, intention, care. Which brings us to the next sign, a harder one to accept, especially if you're used to being left alone in your comfort zone. When a woman truly loves you, she'll challenge you, not to nag, not to pick fights, but because she sees more in you than you're letting the world see. Most men confuse comfort with connection. They think, "She makes me feel relaxed, so she must care about me." But love, real love, isn't a warm bath. It's more like a wildfire. It burns away the things that don't belong. It forces you to grow or get scorched. So yes, she might ask the uncomfortable questions. She might push you when you try to coast. She'll notice when you shrink yourself to make other people feel safe, and she won't let it slide, and it won't always feel good. In fact, it might feel like she's poking at wounds you've spent years covering. But listen carefully. She's not trying to control you. She's invested in your evolution. She loves the trajectory of you, not just the man you are today, but the one you're becoming. And because she sees the whole blueprint, she can't pretend the half-built version is enough. If you mistake that for criticism, you'll miss the miracle. Because love doesn't coddle. Love calls you out, not to hurt you, but to wake you up. She's the one voice in a world full of flattery that dares to say, "You're playing small, and I won't stand by and watch you settle for less than know who you are." So when she holds you to a higher standard, that's not difficulty, that's devotion. That's the rare kind of woman who doesn't let you lie to yourself, even if it makes you uncomfortable. Especially then. Then there's the kind of love that doesn't show up in date nights or sweet messages, but in moments you never see. Because if a woman genuinely loves you, she defends you when you're not around. Picture this. Your name comes up at a dinner party. Maybe someone says something sideways, a subtle jab, a casual criticism. You're not there. You'll never hear what was said, but she does, and she notices the tone, the implication, the disrespect. Now what does she do next? If she loves you, she doesn't stay quiet. She doesn't smile awkwardly or pretend it didn't happen. Even if she doesn't start a scene, she shifts the energy. She speaks up. She makes it clear that your name carries weight, even in your absence. That's what people don't talk about enough. We're taught to measure love by what we can see, the hand-holding, the thinking of you texts, the visible effort. But real love, it lives in the unseen. It's in the moments she chooses to honor your reputation when you're not there to witness it. It's in the split-second decisions that tell the world, "That's someone I care about. Don't reduce him to a moment you misunderstood." She doesn't think you're perfect. She knows you have flaws, but she refuses to let anyone shrink you down to your mistakes. She protects your dignity like it's her own, not for show, not for credit, but because your name lives inside her chest like something sacred. Here's a story that says it better than theory ever could. A man once overheard his girlfriend at a party. Someone was casually criticizing his job, implying he wasn't ambitious enough, that maybe he should be aiming higher. She could have let it slide, could have stayed neutral, but instead she straightened her spine and said calmly but clearly, "You don't know what he's building. You only see what's visible. I know the blueprint." That's love, because real love doesn't need a spotlight. It needs integrity. When a woman believes in your invisible work, in the hours, the effort, the purpose that nobody else sees, that's not romance. That's reverence. That's someone who sees your mountain before you've even reached the peak. So if she's loyal to your name when you're not around, if she defends your character when no one's watching, know this: you are being loved in one of the rarest, most powerful ways a man can be loved. And then we get to sign 6. This one is quiet too, but it's unmistakable when you see it. If a woman truly loves you, she imagines a future, and you're still in it. And I don't mean the someday we'll travel kind of fantasy talk. I'm talking about the everyday details, the subtle ways she threads you into her long-term thinking. It's not the big declarations that give it away. It's the little things, the throwaway sentences, the subtle shifts in language, the effortless way she says we instead of I. Like the idea of you being part of her future is so obvious it doesn't need permission. She's not pitching you a proposal. She's just letting you know, I see a life ahead of me, and somehow you're in the scenes I haven't even lived yet. And the beautiful part? She might not even know she's doing it. That's how real it is. When love is true, the future stops being a distant concept you have to plan. It starts showing up in small decisions. She's talking about repainting her apartment and asks, what color feels more like us? She's at the store and picks up your favorite tea, not because you asked, but because she remembers. She's casually talking about Christmas next year and says, maybe we do something different this time. These aren't routines. They're reflections of something deeper, proof that her mind is beginning to shape a space that includes you. And here's the philosophical weight. Love isn't rooted in certainty. It's rooted in intention. When a woman starts building a future in her head and you're quietly in the blueprint, that's not fluff. It's commitment showing up without a contract. This isn't about dependency. It's not, I need you to exist. It's, I want to build something with you, because that version of the future feels more real than anything else. Now pay attention. If she never talks about the future, not even the vague, abstract version of it, no shared plans, no subtle signs, it's not always a red flag, but it is a flashlight. Something worth noticing. Because when love is present, it leaks forward in time. It spills into next week, next year, the someday you haven't named yet. She's not scripting a fairy tale. She's just quietly rooting you into the soil of her next season. And that's no small thing. And here's the final sign, one of the most beautiful, most difficult, and most misunderstood. She loves you despite the version of you that's still evolving. Let's be honest. You're probably not the man you want to be yet. You've got dreams with blurry outlines, habits you haven't fully broken, wounds that still sting when touched. You're a work in progress. And if she stays not out of pity, not because she's trying to fix you, but because she sees the real work you're putting in to grow, then stop. Notice it. That kind of love is rare. She's not loving the finished product. She's loving the process of becoming. This goes beyond support or encouragement. Those are helpful, sure. But what she's doing, it's spiritual. She's falling for an unfinished manuscript. She's investing in a story still being written, and that, my brother, is radical. Because most people love you for your outcomes, for who you are after the glow-up, the breakthrough, the clean chapter. But she loves you through the edits. She loves the drafts. She loves the version of you that still doubts himself, still fumbles, still forgets. Not because she's settling, not because she thinks you won't improve, but because she understands something most people don't. None of us are ever truly finished. She's not grading your potential. She's holding space for your becoming. She knows there'll be days when you shut down, when you get frustrated, when you say things you regret. And she doesn't run. Because love, real love, doesn't demand perfection. It asks for presence. She's the one who looks at you when you can't even look at yourself, the one who reaches for your hand when your confidence is shattered. She doesn't flinch at your shadows. She stays and brings a flashlight, and that's the plot twist. She's not here to rescue you. She's not here to fix you. She's here to walk with you, beside you, while you fix yourself. She's not just loving the man you were. She's not just holding out hope for who you'll become. She's loving you right now, as you are, in all your chaos, contradiction, and quiet courage. If you've got that, don't just hold on. Build her a kingdom. And if something inside you clicked just now, something deeper than pickup lines, beyond game, beyond strategy, then I want to invite you somewhere most men never go. We've created a private members-only space. No noise, no flexing. Just real men thinking, evolving, staying grounded. We don't just talk about women. We talk about power, peace, purpose, how to stay steady in a chaotic world, how to build an inner fortress no one can break. So if this hits somewhere deeper, if this touch places you don't show the world, don't just scroll. Join us. The link is below. I'll see you on the inside if you're one of the ones who get it. And if not, that's okay too. But don't forget what you just heard, because someday you'll meet a woman who gives you these signs, and I hope by then you'll be the kind of man who's ready to recognize them.